Hi guys, this is lesson 3.6, converting measures between systems. Systems is two different ways you can measure things. The customary, our US customary system is our inches and our centimeters and our feet and items such as that. Whereas we have the metric system, which most of the world uses, and that's meters, liters, grams, and we have to be able to convert back and forth since we use both ways. So throughout this video, I'm going to be giving you the conversion ratios that you need to know, but when you get to class, you'll need to look in the back of your book because you don't have to memorize them all, but I also can't give them all to you. So the first example, I'm going to show you two different ways you can convert between these metric systems. We're first going to convert 5 liters to quarts. So liters is metric and quarts is US customary, so we're converting between the two. We must convert using a ratio. This method is the way you're going to be doing it for the most of your education. Chemistry uses it a lot, and in high school they use this a lot too. So you'll be doing this in the 8th grade as well. So first off, we start off with what we are starting with. So we're starting with 5 liters. So that's the first thing we put in our equation, 5 liters. Then we multiply it by our conversion ratio. We're being told that 1 quart is about 0.95 liters. So that's how we get this ratio right here. 1 quart over 0.95 liters. Now you can write 0.95 liters over 1 quart. But in this instance, we don't want to. You need to know that the one you put on the bottom is the one you're converting from. So what that means, just erasing the board so that we have a clean slate. What that means is if you imagine this 5 liters over 1, we can see that the liters is on the top. So we want to put our conversion ratio liters on the bottom so they cancel out, leaving us with only quarts. So then when you multiply the numerators and the denominators across, you end up with 5 over 0.95. And when you do that math, you end up with 5.26 quarts. So that's super important to realize. So then when you figure out that, you just know that 5 liters is about the same thing as 5.26 quarts. Now the second method is converting using a proportion. You've been doing proportions a lot, so you might be more familiar with this method. However, the first method is the way I really want you to be comfortable with. So we're going to let x be the number of quarts that we don't know. Since we don't know how many quarts are equal to 5 liters, that's going to be our variable, x. So then we just set up a proportion. And you had a whole lesson on writing proportions. So we're going to set up our conversion ratio, the one we were given all the way up here, as a fraction. We're putting our quarts on the top, 1, liters on the bottom. This way doesn't matter as long as you're consistent with both sides. So you can see they both put quarts on the top and they both sides put liters on the bottom. So since we already knew that 5 liters is on the bottom, or we already know 5 liters is what we're starting with, we're putting that on the bottom so that both of our liters are there. Then we don't know what our quarts is, so that's why we put an x on the top. And now in this case, you can just solve the way we've been solving all along, which would be cross products. So when you do the cross products, you end up with 5 equals 0.95x. You divide both sides by 0.95x, and you get 5.26. Again, the same way we did earlier. Now notice that when you divide 0.95 to both sides, here's that ratio that we had up here. Up here, when we multiplied our numerator and our denominator, we had 5 over 0.95. Well, we have the same thing here when we did our cross products. So no matter which method you get, you will get the final ratio that you need to do your math with to find the answer. So again, your answer is about 5.26 quarts. So now I would like you to try example 1 and 2 and see if you can set it up and solve for the conversion. All right, so example 1 on your worksheet, this is what it gives you. Note, you should have seen at the top that 1 mile equals about 1.6 kilometers. So you might have gotten stuck on how to set it up. You always start with your 10 miles because that's what you know. And then you times it by a ratio, and that's your conversion ratio. We want to be able to cancel out our miles, so we're going to put our 1 mile on the bottom, and our 1.6 kilometers on the top. That allows us, when we make this into a fraction, our miles cancel out, and we're left with the kilometers, which is what we're looking for. Now we just need to multiply our numerators, which is 10 times 1.6, and our denominators, which now is 1 times 1. And we get 16 kilometers. So your answer should have been 16 kilometers. Example 2 on your worksheet, same thing. We start with our 15 kilograms because that's what we know. Then we multiply it by our conversion ratio. The top of your worksheet told you that 1 pound is about 0.45 kilograms. So we put our kilograms on the bottom so that we can cancel out, so that we're left with just the pounds. We just want the pounds unit left. So that's why we want it on the top. So then when we multiply our numerator and our denominator, we get 15 over 0.45. You do that math, and you get about 33.33 pounds. All right, let's move on. So the next example we're going to go over is copy and complete this statement using less than or greater than. We have 25 ounces and 2 kilograms. We can't compare them because they're in different units. So we need to convert one of them. Either convert from ounces to kilograms or kilograms to ounces. So we're going to convert from 25 ounces to kilograms because that's just what I chose. We set it up. Now this one's a little harder because we don't have a conversion ratio directly from ounces to kilograms. So we have to use 2. So in this case, we start with the 25 just like we have all along. But now we need to first find a common ratio or common unit between these two ratios. So when you have these two conversion rates, you notice that they have pounds in common. So we can use both of those in order to cancel each other out. So we're going to start with our 25 ounces, use our first ratio to set it up with our ounces on the bottom so they cancel out again. Then we're going to set up our second ratio with our pounds on the bottom so that those cancel out, leaving us with just kilograms. So then when we multiply our numerators and our denominators, we end up getting 25 times 1 times 0.45 kilograms. Again, imagine this first number as a fraction so you can see those numerators and denominators. And then you have 16 times 1 on the bottom. When you do that math, you end up with about 70 kilograms. Now, keep in mind, this is not your answer. We're still just comparing whether we have 25 ounces. So now we know that 25 ounces is the same as 0.7 kilograms. So now we can see which one's bigger or smaller. Obviously, because 0.7 kilograms is less than 2 kilograms, obviously 25 ounces is less. Now go ahead and try number 3 on your worksheet and see what you get. All right, 3 on your worksheet. I'm not going to do this for you, but I'm going to help you set it up because this is hard. Again, we're just going from kilograms to ounces or ounces to kilograms. This time I chose to go kilograms to ounces, which is fine. We have the same exact 2 ratios right here that you had on the last example. And we're gonna, instead, because we're starting with our kilograms, we're using this one first. So we put 0.45 kilograms on the bottom so that these cancel out, and we put our 1 pound on the top. That means we put our other pound on the bottom so that they cancel out, and we put the 16 ounces on the top. So hopefully that helps you set it up so you can change it if you made a mistake. So we're going to move on. All right, word problem. Which of the 2 remote controlled planes is faster? Now we're getting into more rates. We have 50 miles per hour and 70 kilometers per hour. Notice that the per hour is the same, so we're only really concerned with converting miles to kilometers or kilometers to miles. We're going to start by converting 50 miles per hour to kilometers per hour. So when we set up our ratio, again, we start with the 50 kilometers over 1 hour. Now, why do we have the hour on the bottom? Because remember, 50 miles per hour, that per is our fraction bar. So 50 miles per 1 hour, that's how we get that on the bottom. Now, we're only trying to cancel out our miles to leave it in kilometers. So if you notice, we still use our conversion rate that we had before, which is 1 mile equals 1.6 kilometers. And we set that up here so that we can cancel out our miles. But notice now, you still have a kilometers. Here, let me get a different color. You still have kilometers on the top, and you still have this hour on the bottom. So when you do your math, you get 80 kilometers over 1 hour. So the speed of the monoplane is 80 kilometers per hour. The speed of the biplane is 70 kilometers per hour. So which of the two remote control planes is faster? The monoplane is faster. So that helps you out. You can always check your answer if you need to, converting 70 kilometers per hour to miles per hour, and do it the other way. We only did the miles to kilometers, but you could have done kilometers to miles and still compared it that way. So still the biplane is faster. Or just kidding, the monoplane is faster. Okay, now try 4 on your worksheet. Now that you have done 4, some of you still might be lost. If you know how to do this, if you've got it, just flip to the end to make sure you got the right answer. But you can keep going. You don't have to watch this if you think you understand. So this is helping those that just don't understand. So we have our ratio, our 60 miles per hour, and we want to convert to kilometers per hour. So we have our ratio, a conversion ratio of 1 mile equals 1.6 kilometers. We're just trying to get rid of our miles. So we start out with our original 60 miles over 1 hour, as I already wrote right here. And then we put the note, we take the ratio and we put the miles on the bottom. So in this case, 1 mile, so that those miles cancel out. And we put the 1.6 kilometers on the top. When you do your math, you end up getting 96 kilometers over 1 hour. So you can put 96 in that blank space on your worksheet. Okay, now try number 5, which is a little harder. Keep in mind that you need to know these conversion rates. 1 gram equals 1,000 milligrams, and 1 gram is about 0.035 ounces. So see if you can set it up, and then I'll show you how to do it after you try. All right, hopefully you were successful and you just can skip through to the end and make sure you set it up right. But just in case you didn't, let's go ahead and try. So we have started out with 200 milligrams. We want to get to ounces. So we're going to start out with the conversion ratio that has milligrams, so we can cancel those out. So we put the 1,000 milligrams on the bottom and the 1 gram on the top. And then we multiply that, so we can now cancel out our milligrams. And now we can use our second conversion ratio. We put our 1 gram on the bottom so that they cancel out, and our 0.035 ounces on the top. So we've canceled out all our units except for ounces, which is what we wanted to figure out. So when you multiply your numerator and your denominator, you'll get your answer. So go ahead and try to do that. If you do it correctly, you will get 0.002, I believe. Let me double check my math. 0.007. Sorry, I apologize. 0.007 ounces. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. And if you have any questions, please make note of that right after this.